Hello and welcome. My name is Richard Jarofsky, a partner with Focus Management. For the past 30 years, I have worked with leaders of organizations of all types and sizes to do two important things. First of all, to develop or refine their business strategy. And then secondly, to make sure it's implemented and that it gets results. Now, this is the first in a series of videos you'll see from me on a variety of topics, all related to strategy and execution. Now, let me set this one up with a bit of a story. Not long ago, I was working with a client to help them update, refine, and focus their business strategy. And as you might expect, we came to the subject of their customer value proposition. Well, 5 minutes into the conversation, it became clear that a number of the team members were really struggling with the concept of a value proposition. I mean, let's face it, I think many of us have, perhaps some of us still do. Well, a couple of them had made attempts at defining value propositions in preparation for the meeting, but they weren't so sure about the results. So we needed to take a step back before moving ahead and answer a few key questions like, well, first of all, just what exactly is a customer value proposition? What's it for? What's the real point? Is it worth the trouble? When you're developing a value proposition, how do you know what you're aiming for? How do you know when you've got it? How do you know when you're done? And then last but not least, is there any one value proposition for a particular business? Is it one size fits all? Or maybe one size fits almost no one? Well, we took a fairly straightforward, even academic approach. We made a good deal of progress. You know, heads were nodding, lights were coming on, and the conversation took on a more meaningful tone and direction. And at that point, we agreed that everyone would benefit from some think time. So we adjourned for the day with the intention to come back to the customer value proposition in our next meeting. In fact, we scheduled a meeting specifically to deal with the subject in the next week. Well, as everyone was getting ready to leave, I sat down at the table to reflect on the conversation from the past 20 or 30 minutes or so. Well, something came to mind, of course, and rather than lose the opportunity, I made one of those, hey, I've got something on my mind kinds of noises to get the attention of those in the room. You know, it seems to me that addressing the question of a customer value proposition is a lot like dealing with the question, well, why do people fall in love? Why don't we fall in love with everyone? Well, you can imagine the looks that I got, and truthfully, if I don't get at least one of those a day, I feel as though I'm not trying hard enough. But in the silence that followed, I pressed on. Well, let's think about it. The customer value proposition has two basic critical elements, the value statement and the positioning statement. The value statement expresses how you resonate with the customer. It articulates that which causes the customer to fall in love with you. This is your goodness as you want the customer to see it. The positioning statement defines your uniqueness relative to other suitors. It expresses why the customer should love nobody other than you. This is your specialness that sets you apart from others, those against whom you compete for the hearts and minds and wallets of your customers. Well, just as people fall in and out of love, your value proposition is neither eternal nor is it universally compelling. As customer desires and interests change, so must your value proposition. And the primary focus of the business, its critical mission, needs to be driven by that customer value proposition, defining it, mapping it, extending it, and most important, relentlessly executing it day in and day out. So remember, if you don't have a strong and differentiated value proposition, your days are numbered. You need to fix that and fix it now. In the next couple of installments, I will address more of the questions that I posed earlier in the video and dig into more of the details around how to create or tune up your customer value proposition. I hope you'll join me then. Thanks for listening.